we are now in one of the final stages of the NBA basketball season. We have now arrived at the conference finals. We have the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the San Antonio Spurs. Um, Pistons did not make it. We'll get into that later. I'm both happy and sad about that, but regardless, four teams left, one ring. Some really, really good game ones. We'll get into the last series, the semifinals, and then obviously the conference finals, give our predictions and everything. How we feeling today, boys? How we feeling today?
Feeling good.
Better than you guys when it comes to the NBA. Actually, I don't know. Then
Nah,
that's
I don't know, gang.
I don't
I don't
know.
know about that one, bro.
Yeah, I don't know
You gotta
actually.
you gotta wait till that draft happens in June. Well, I guess we but
Yeah, I'll walk it back, but I'm good. My teams just suck, so it can't get worse. I just love Philly sports fans that are getting so pissed at our TikTok. It just like doubled down on my point, dude.
I knew that one was gonna be a good one. Uh,
It's like one of our first TikToks when you said fake championship about Ohio State.
your Ohio
They
State
they
under
hated you.
crazy.
Yeah.
We're
Then
going
they're like,
crazy.
yeah, take away the kids' podcasting equipment. You're not old enough to drink. Like, bro, I understand I don't have a bunch of testosterone. I'm 23 with two fucking journalism degrees. So joke's on you, pal. You're commenting. So thanks for the views.
Yeah, no, that shit is funny, bro.
Well, just like Ohio State, Cleveland has some fake wins under the belt this postseason. Fake wins.
Exactly. Exactly. Talk to him.
All right. Before we get into it, let's
Talk
talk
ball.
ball.
Oh,
I
oh,
did intro that bad. I didn't transition that well.
Oops.
Um, let's start with we'll get into it very briefly, but we'll talk about the series, the semifinals, before we get to before we get to the conference finals, just really briefly. Pistons lost in 7 games, on their own home court. Second worst loss on a home court in a game seven in NBA history. Just absolutely brutal for the Pistons. And then obviously we have, um, I mean, other ones we already kind of talked about and they're not worth talking about. So we'll just stick with the Pistons and the Cavs because that was the one that was still out to, hanging. Uh, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first, Blake, since I have a rant about the Pistons.
I'll go. I think that I mean it's not the way you want to go out. I mean, anytime you lose a game seven is heartbreaking as a fan, as a team, as an organization. So definitely not the way that they wanted to go out. Um, very, very disappointing. I don't really have a rant because it's like I think with the season that Detroit had, like you look at it and it's like they had a successful season. And I somebody asked JB Bickerstaff like in the post game press conference, it's like, are you disappointed in this year? And he's like, what is there to be disappointed about? Like I think that this group overachieved, and they absolutely did. They absolutely overachieved. They were the one seed in the Eastern Conference, and I think that's just what comes with the territory of the way that they lost and I mean not that comes with the territory, but I mean yeah, it comes with the territory. They're the one seed, so it's like everybody's expecting the one seed to at least get to the conference finals. This Detroit team was abnormal for a one seed. That's not the typical one seed that you see every year, year in, year out in the NBA. You don't see one seeds like that. They were not top to bottom a great basketball team. I had them as one of my losers when we did a first week of the NBA, like when we did opening week, NBA opening week, in our episode. I had the Pistons as the losers.
Because they lost to the Bulls in like opening
Because
day.
yeah, and like top to bottom, that roster was just not good. Your backup center's Paul Reed. Like and kudos to him because he had an absolute tremendous postseason and he filled the gaps where we needed him because Jalen Duren didn't show up. And that's kind of where I'm getting in terms of the big gap in this postseason was Jalen Duren. It ultimately comes down to Jalen Duren. It does. You have to show up in moments like that when you are the second option, when you are an all-star. You're the big man. You're the guy down low. You are the guy, and you don't show up. And that's just that's unacceptable, especially for a team with that lacks scoring. The Detroit Pistons needed everything that they could get, and Jalen Duren did not do his part, and that is the biggest disappointment of the season, of the postseason, of this playoff run was Jalen Duren. So I that's kind of where I'm frustrated at. In terms of the game itself, game seven, they just didn't want it. Cleveland wanted it way more, and it showed. It showed from the opening tip-off. Cleveland wanted it way more, and that was another disappointing thing to watch. Was a disappointing and frustrating thing to watch was they just didn't want it. That I don't know what it was. I don't know if it, I mean, it is tough going to 7 games in back-to-back series. It's not ideal. You don't really get much of a break, but at the end of the day, it's a game seven and you need to show up and you need to play. So I think that, all in all, like it's just, it's disappointing, but it's also it's disappointing the way that they lost in that game seven. It's disappointing because they didn't show up. It's disappointing because Jalen Duren did not do his part. But if you look at the season as a whole, it's a successful season for the Detroit Pistons, and they build on it. I think if not to like go on a spew here and go into like off-season things because obviously we'll talk about that once the season wraps up. But like I think you look at that game seven, I think you look at this playoff run, and there's two things. One, you've got to go get a second option that can score the basketball. Somebody has to be besides Cade Cunningham that can score the basketball, that can space out this offense and this basketball team. That's number one. That needs to get done. Whether you do it in, I mean, obviously you're going to need to do it in free agency. You don't go and draft a scorer. That's not what you do in the NBA. So you're like immediate impact, is what you need in terms of second option. So you got to go get that. I think number two is everybody's on the table except for Kay Cunningham. Everybody is on the table except for Kay Cunningham. I will give an exception to obviously Asar Thompson because we know like he's not leaving. I would say, let me recant that. Everybody is on the table except for Asar Thompson and Kay Cunningham. If Jalen Duren wants to walk, if he doesn't want to, get paid what he deserves based off of what he did in the postseason, you let him go and you go and find somebody else who's actually going to show up for all 82 plus. But everybody except for Cade and Asar, I think, um, is on the table. Why I include Tobias in that, Tobias is getting a little old, so I'm not really sure where his numbers are going to be at in terms of contracts and things like that and money wise, but for value, obviously you'll kind of think about that in the off season, but those are the two things you realize with this team. So it's going to be an interesting off season for Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think the season was a total success. You build off of last season, you take the Knicks to 6 games. You win the first series, even though it was a little, it was a little scary, a little finicky. They didn't come out playing the way they're supposed to. And then they get all the way to a game seven in the second round. And where I excuse the loss to the Cavs is the fact that the Cavs are a better team on paper. They have more talent, they're constructed better, they've been here, they have more experience. Realistically, if anything, they're supposed to be the 1 seed, and we're supposed to be the 5 seed in terms of our timelines. And like you said, we're not a number 1 seed. That roster is not a number 1 seed. And you have to think about this. The Pistons, ideally, in a perfect world, this would not have been their roster. They would have had Malik Beasley on a 3-year, $45 million deal, but he can't pay his barber. He can't pay his landlord because he's allegedly gambling. All right. And now he's hooping in Beijing or somewhere. I don't know where he's at, but he got some kind of deal somewhere. So he's not even going to come back. So there goes one of our shooters, right? One of the guys who can shoot the ball because we are a terrible scoring team. And then the other person who's supposed to and was drafted to be a part of this team is Jaden Ivey. He was supposed to be the number 2 scorer. Obviously, he gets hurt. He kind of declines a little bit in offensive ability and explosiveness. and then he kind of tweaks out a little bit, and now they ship him out to Chicago, and now he's not in the league. So those are two guys that can score the ball very efficiently and very well that we don't have on the roster. And so if you add those two guys, you get a lot better. Now, obviously, um, you don't know what Jaden Ivey would have become had he not gotten injured and stayed on that path. But regardless, this is where we are. And so, like you said, Jalen Duren coming out, and out of everyone on the team, he was the least likely to have this kind of postseason because he's a lob threat. He's a back to the basket effort type of guy. He can get you 20 and 10 from just strictly being built like a grown man. And for him to come in and average 20 and 10 in the regular season and have an all-star appearance and then average 10 and 8 is just so bad. I mean, everyone saw it. Paul Reed outplayed him the entire series, and halfway through, people were like, "Let Paul Reed it for more time." There were towards the end of that series, Paul Reed played. There was one game where they benched Jalen Duren for the fourth quarter, and they had Paul Reed, and he was a better center than Jalen Duren. And you got to think about it. Jalen Duren is built like a grown. He's built like he's on PEDs. He's literally built like he's on steroids. I saw him, I think it was game six when he had like 15 and 13 or something like that. I saw glimpses of when he was actually like all-star Jalen Duren. I saw him literally put his shoulder into Evan Mobley, spin and go up and dunk it. And I said, that's what you need to do every play. Get in the post, ask for the ball, and bully the softest bigs that you will encounter in the postseason. With all due respect, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are soft when they get in the paint. All right. And so for him to just completely ignore that, I mean, I thought for sure the Magic, I give you an excuse. The Battle of Angel Reese, what have you, maybe it's a mental thing. You get to Cleveland, just bully your way to 20 points. It ain't that difficult. I'm built like him. I'm doing that. And so for him to do that was just really disappointing. And then you had to get your number two scorer from Tobias Harris, but he's really a four on a championship team, three on a good team, and he's giving you 20 per game, and then it runs out because he's a four on a championship team, so you can't rely on that. Um, so I just felt like that was disappointing. The other thing I felt was disappointing was that they could have won that series legit, and not just through game seven, but I believe it was game three. It was a tie game. It was 109-109 with like 2 minutes left. And listen, Cade, all the offense is placed on his shoulders. You can't turn the ball over two or three times down the stretch when it's tied in a game three on the road where you can go up 3-0. You're up 2-0. You lock in, you're at 3-0. That's the series right there. 109, 109, if you lock in and you go nuclear, that's the series. And so I don't like to put blame on Cade because they put the whole franchise on his shoulders, but you can't turn the ball over. And I understand he was playing with a flake jacket and half a lung, but we can't turn the ball over the way we did. I mean, James Harden was giving gifts under the tree the whole series. Here's the ball. Here's the ball. Take this, take that. And we just couldn't capitalize. Throwing the ball bad in transition. I just felt like a lot of it was sloppy. After the first two games, everything was just sloppy. Transition offense was sloppy. Uh, Players couldn't get a lot of their own shots because there was no offensive weapons. And so at the end of the day, like you said, flawed roster. I don't want to keep going over that. So, but I'm happy that it gives us clarity. Now you have to go get somebody, whether it's Michael Porter Jr., which I think is the perfect person for us. There's no place in the league that is asking somebody to shoot 30 shots a game except the Pistons, right? And you're asking him to shoot the ball. He's the perfect guy. You don't have to tell him to shoot the ball. He's coming in firing 30 shots a game, and you like that. Even if he's taking contested threes, it's better than Dennis Jenkins trying to operate offense. With all due respect, I love Dennis, but it's better than that or Asar Thompson sitting in the corner. Um, and Asar got to, bro, I talked about this. He's got to get in the gym. And this offseason, I want him to wake up, shoot the ball. I don't want you to play no defense. Don't do no cone work. Don't work on athleticism. You can weight lift, but I want you to shoot 5,000 shots a day. I don't care. From the minute you wake up, from the minute you go to sleep, you work on shooting the ball. It was 5-on-4 on offense every single time down the court, and it was disgusting. His man would help off of him to double team someone going to the rack. They throw it to him, and he doesn't even know what he's doing on offense. And then, Stewart, as good as he is, sometimes he's a liability on offense. So just my key to the offseason real quick before we get off of this, because I know people probably don't want to hear me talk about the Pistons for forever. Michael Porter Jr. first, in my opinion, or Lauri Markkanen second. I wouldn't mind Lauri, but I would like MPJ just a little bit more as an offensive weapon. Also, I keep hearing people say Trey Murphy. Don't do that. Don't. I promise you, if you bring Trey Murphy in as the number two scorer, I will tweak out. I will be tweaker of the week. So let's not do that. All right. Don't ruin the whole timeline by bringing in Trey Murphy the third as your number two option. Um, and then get a shooter. Get another shooter. You need another shooter. I mean, you look at the best teams, they have one or two shooters. Uh, and then the third one was Lasar Thompson work on your offensive game. I mean, there's like five different NBA players that I saw that were talking about how he needs to work on offense. I mean, imagine if he had the defense he had and then he averaged 15 points on like, 40% shooting and 31% shooting from three. Like, even if his numbers were like 15 points, that's much more than you're getting from him in general. So the team just has to get better offensively. They can't go back into this year in their next year thinking like we have the pieces because you don't. You have some pieces, but I mean, it's a good way to understand that, we need things because we obviously weren't winning the title this year. That was very obvious. But I mean, I applaud them on a good season. I'm happy that we don't have to play the Knicks in this form because we'll get into it in a minute about the Knicks and the Cavs. But if we have to play this version of the Knicks, I'm actually scared. I told you, I'll piss it down my leg. If we who don't have a number two scorer have to go face a team that just blew teams out the water and then realized through three quarters and a half in game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, wait a minute. Cleveland? What?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
so I don't want to play the Knicks right now. I'll play them next year when they get blown out by Wemby and the Spurs in the finals. Uh I leaked the script, but yeah, that's just what I have to say about the Pistons. What do you got to say about the Pistons, Jake?
Ah, shit. I don't have too much more. Like, this was supposed to be the Eastern Conference Finals at the start of the year. That's why New York and Cleveland were the two favorites. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I saw other guys like a possible Lowry Markkanen, or I don't even know who else could go to Detroit, but it's very obvious, and we've been saying it the entire year. They need a second scorer. So, yeah, I think it's just they were the one seed. They lost in game seven. And even though they exceeded expectations, the fact that they laid a dud of that manner in game seven is pretty ridiculous. But then again, it is what it is. Cleveland's a bit more talented team, and they took care of business, and they finally learned how to win on the road. So yeah, I think the Knicks would have smacked Detroit too. But then again, the Pistons, you never know with them. That's pretty much all I have to say. I mean, obviously, come the offseason, like, what are you gonna do? And they're going to do something. I think that's the most obvious thing. So I don't really have too much else. Like, good for Cleveland for getting it done. They played two 7-game series there and one on the road. But yeah, good luck against the Knicks. Good luck. I mean, we're gonna talk about it, but if Cleveland was gonna win a game at Madison Square Garden, it was last night. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, speaking of the Knicks, let's just get into that right now. We'll save the best for last in Wemby. Cleveland Cavaliers and New York Knicks played last night. Well, the 19th, whenever this is posted. And it was a blowout, very, very I don't say quickly, but the Cavs took a 20-point lead at one point. It looked like it was all but finished. All they had to do was kind of hang on to, the lead. And then the Knicks just came storming back. Whole lot of things. Terrible, terrible coaching on the Cleveland side. The Knicks, and I said this, I was scared if the Knicks were gonna, rest versus rust. And if that was gonna happen, and it happened for three and a half quarters. The rust kind of kicked in, and then they realized that they the way that they had been playing against Philly and part of the Atlanta series, really the whole playoffs. They just had to lock back in, and Brunson drops 38. Everyone participates, and they come back to win in overtime. So what do we make of the Knicks and the Cavs, especially now that the Knicks won game one and they did it in, emphatic fashion?
Yeah, I'll start us off. I'll eat my words if they don't do it, but this is the year for the Knicks to make the finals. It was supposed to be last year, but then it turned into this year, and it's been since October because of the state of the East. And in game one of 2025, Eastern Conference Finals, they should have won that. And obviously, Aaron Nesmith went nuclear, then the Halliburton shot, and they lost. Yesterday was pretty much the opposite, down 20. Jalen Brunson went nuclear, and then they went in overtime. And they got it done. And like I said, I think the Knicks are just a better team than Cleveland. I don't know how close it is, especially if the Knicks are healthy, like rest versus rust and all of that stuff. Yesterday was a statement that we're not fucking around. We learned how to play basketball against you guys, and we're gonna kick your ass. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks won this in 5 games. That's what I'm predicting. Because yesterday Cleveland had a chance to win in the hardest place to win in the NBA in the playoffs, and they didn't. And that's a really tough loss to come back from. I know it's game one. It's not going to get easier because now the Knicks woke up. Like yesterday, think about it. OG Anunoby did not play well. Josh Hart did not play well. Jalen Brunson did not play well for the second half up until he started to go like, oh, wait, I'm Jalen Brunson. And so, yeah, I think the Knicks are going to go to the finals for the first time since 99. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. But yesterday was like a back-breaking game for Cleveland already.
Um, yeah, no, you gotta the if they were gonna win a game, it was gonna be last night in New York, game one. You gotta take advantage of New York resting for that long. You have to. Um, you gotta come off hot. You just played a great game against Detroit at game seven. Um, you gotta come in and give them one. And they failed to do that. And Kenny Atkinson said post game, we just got unlucky. Brother, they went on a 44-11 run. I don't know if that's unlucky. I think I think that is just simply y'all foot was off the gas pedal, bro. Unlucky? I think that was crazy to say by Kenny there. But yeah, I mean it's just it's crazy. I think it's insane. If you would have asked me, I mean, I was working like the basically the whole game, and I checked the score, and they were up by like 25. And I got home and I was like, I'm not even gonna turn that game on. It's mid of the fourth quarter and it's over. And then Toussaint, you texted that it was like, here we go. And I was like, no way. I was like, no way. And Jalen Brunson arrived, gave him belt, gave him straight belt. So I think that was just insane work. They dropped the ball there. I mean, I don't know how you sit and watch that game and you still pick Cleveland to win the series. Um, I think he gave it away right there that New York's taking this one and they're going
Yeah.
to the finals. So
Yeah,
that's just my
like you said, that was the one to have. I mean, you have 1 day rest. You get the mojo from blowing out Detroit in game seven. You're catching, New York napping for the last week, resting. This was the one to have. You're up 20. You have Donovan Mitchell, who is a top 10 points per game scorer in NBA history. You have James Harden, who's one of the greatest scorers of all time, even though he is a dud in the playoffs. And you have
mm,
everything working for you, and then all of a sudden it just goes wrong. Um, yeah, the thing that blew my mind was Kenny Atkinson. Uh, he has games where he just like he clocks out. It was like that for the Detroit series sometimes too, where like some games it just didn't register to him to do some things. Like, first of all, you have 4 timeouts. He said I like to. They questioned why he didn't call a timeout during the run. He said I like to hold them. Like he was gonna try to prepare for overtime. Buddy, if you go to overtime and you blow a 20-point lead, You're losing. It doesn't matter how many timeouts you call. You're losing the game. The momentum is not in your favor. Jalen Brunson is dropping buckets on James Harden. It is bad. And that's the other thing. I don't know why you continue to have James Harden in there. Like, for the life of me, I understand he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. They were hunting him. They were literally there. I literally went back and watched Jalen Brunson score most of his buckets in the second half. He would literally come up the court, look at where James Harden is, look for like have his man screen James Harden, like have another Nick screen James Harden, switch to get James Harden on him, and then go to work like barbecue chicken. And you gotta think about James Harden's 6'5" and Brunson is 6'1". James Harden was so bad. It was unbelievable. And I've seen it. We've all seen it hundreds of times. Him just lay an absolute like dud in the playoffs. But this was bad because it's like he had moments where he could have gotten it back. He had moments where he had the ball in his hands and he just didn't hit a shot. Or he's trying to guard Brunson and is not working. It's like you gotta sit him. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta put somebody else on him. And the whole thing about, this matchup with Jalen Brunson, where everyone before the series was like, who's going to guard Jalen Brunson? They put Dean Wade on him because Dean Wade had the most success. You took Dean Wade out of the game, put James Harden in down the stretch, and he kept getting hunted. I mean, you got to find some way to balance it out. You can't just say, well, we're going to put him in there for offense. He's not hitting shots. If James Harden's not hitting shots, he's useless. He's literally useless. I mean, there's nothing he's good for. And to keep him in that game, to not call timeouts. I think Cleveland I don't know what happened, but Kenny Atkinson didn't know what he was doing. Donovan Mitchell had 3 points in the fourth quarter and overtime. It was bad. And like you said, that's just the kind of loss that demoralizes you. Like they're talking about game two. Game two's a wrap. Like New York is going to
Yeah.
come out firing game two. And then once they get in Cleveland, oh, you better win both games in Cleveland or you're screwed. You're screwed.
Gotta win both.
You lose
Got
one of those games, you split on at home, you're done because you're not coming back to Madison Square Garden in a closeout game in any sort of way and winning against this team the way they're playing. So I just thought it was kind of pitiful, but it was so funny because while I'm watching it, I'm watching it's like 8-1 run, and I said, "Uh-oh, he called a timeout." Then it's a 13-1 run, and then it's a 20-4 run. I said, "Oh." And I was only rooting for the Cavs because I wanted chaos in the Eastern Conference Finals. I wanted it to go to 7 games, be super interesting, and now I'm watching New York complete a 5-game gentleman's sweep in real time. That's what I saw.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it was bad. That's the kind of loss that, it's hard to come back from and just, really do. And they can win game two. Obviously, it's possible, but no. So that wraps up that series is finished. All right. Hypothetically, people go, my mom's gonna be like, well, that's that what my mom's gonna be like, no, it's not over. It's over. It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It feels like it's wraps. It just like didn't make sense too, the adjustments they were making to try to defend Jalen Brunson. It's like, and then Harden goes like, yeah, it's so hard to defend him or you can't defend him or something on that line. But you could at least try. Like Cleveland's a fine enough basketball team and they're a fine enough defensive basketball team to make the adjustments, make the coaching changes to at least attempt to stop Jalen Brunson. And by having James Harden on him every time, and I'm saying having it on him every time, and people go, no, they tried not to, but then all it would take was a pick and roll or a pick and slide, and then all of a sudden James Harden is on Jalen Brunson. That's not trying. There are so many other things you could do. Toussaint, you said it well. Like James Harden's not shooting the ball well. He's pointless. And that's been his thing his entire NBA career. And yesterday it felt like, oh, I mean, so much of it's on Kenny Atkinson. I'm surprised he didn't call a timeout when the Knicks tied the game. I'm surprised he didn't call a timeout after what's it called? Mikal Bridges hit a three to make it a 4-point game, or the three to make it a 3-point game. Like there are so many times where you could have stopped the game even just for a little, and you didn't do it. And it was like they were poking a sleeping giant to be like, this is the Eastern Conference Finals and we want to make it a fight. No, you don't. You don't want the New York Knicks. Like, and it's the same thing. Like, if and when the Knicks make the finals, like they're not going to be favored regardless of who they play. But we've been saying it, and I've been saying it. If the Knicks play like this, they could beat anyone. They really can. And Cleveland was just poking a bear yesterday, and that's Kenny Atkinson's fault. And then Jalen Brunson, like Jalen Brunson's the best playoff player in the past 5 years. Like, I'll stand on that. Like, I genuinely think that Jalen Brunson is the best playoff player in the NBA since LeBron James. In terms of just winning championships and that stuff. Look at his stats. He has been so unbelievably clutch. I mean, sure, you could throw out some other guys. Jalen Brunson's absolutely top three. And the Cavs said, oh, yeah, we're not going to give you any special treatment and we're not going to try. So, hey, joke's on them.
Yeah, letting a guy who is a bona fide superstar and elite scorer just have his way with a terrible defensive player is just, I mean, as soon as you see the lead is decreasing and you see James Harden getting switched on to Jalen Brunson every single time, timeout, Dean Wade, get back in there. We're gonna like don't stop switching, go like come on. And then the offensive just possessions were bad by Cleveland. I mean, it's like they were rattled every single time they came down the court. James Harden got the ball. There was a couple times where he would get the ball with 6 seconds left and he would stand there for a good 4 seconds. And I don't know what it is, but James Harden has no awareness of the clock. There was like 4 times where he would simply try and ISO somebody with 5 seconds left. And we all know that James Harden ISO takes 10 seconds off the clock. He would sit there and act like there's 10 seconds when there's only 4 or 5. And he's taking forever. And then he hoists up a bad shot.
Then he
It's
just
a
chucked it.
bad
And
possession.
right? And defensively too. I mean, the Cavs did the same thing to Cade. Like the difference was Cade just was not hitting some shots, but like they would give Cade the same matchup every time. That's why I went for 39 in game 5. And then he didn't shoot well in game 7, sure. Game 6, he had 21, but like he was out for pretty much the remainder of the fourth quarter. Cavs are just like giving him the same matchup. These players are going to figure it out. They were even doing it to Brandon Ingram in round 1. Like good offensive players are going to figure you out, make an adjustment, and especially against Jalen Brunson, because I don't know if there's a single player in the league that could guard him, but by throwing different bodies at him and making his life difficult, you're at least trying. And it looked like they weren't.
I mean, yeah, I won't say they got lucky, but that shit would have never flown in the Western Conference. First of all, you're playing the Raptors, who aren't that great of an offensive team, so you're able to get by on the fact that you're just better. And then you play Detroit, who doesn't have any offensive input except for Cade. And if you just double Cade and force him to give up the rock, yes, you can win that way. You can't do that to New York. You can't do that to the Knicks. You can't do that to the Knicks. You can't do that to the Thunder or the Spurs. And then if you go down the West, I mean, you look at the Lakers, you can't do that. You do that to the Nuggets, it's hard to do that. There are just different teams that you can't do that to. And so I just feel like they tried to bring in the same idea and game plan that they had for the last 2 series into this series. A scorching red hot team, you can't do that. You're gonna have to create something new and find some way to lock up Jalen Brunson. Okay. Now let's get to the better series. Obviously, this is where most of us believe is the actual finals. This is the winner of the finals, is the Western Conference Finals. We have Shea, who I don't want to say he was out of his element because I want to give credit to San Antonio's defense because they really, clamped him. But Wemby, I mean, everyone has already said it, but there has never, ever, ever been something like Wemby in basketball, really in sports, because you got to think about it. I told you, Wemby wakes up, he wipes the crust out of his eyes, he stretches up, and he gives God himself a dap before he starts his day. That's how tall he is. All right, Wemby is that tall that he could probably reach up, and so it's like it, you're watching in real time a combination of 4 top 15 players in NBA history. You're watching Kevin Durant, Wilt, Bill Russell, and Hakeem all in one player. And it's just like, oh my goodness. I mean, he's got the shot of Kevin Durant. He's like Wilt, where he's like, just throw it near the rim and I'm going to put it in there. it's Bill Russell and Hakeem on defense where he's just putting shit off the glass and you're not anything within 5 feet of the paint.
He ain't doing nothing about that.
You can't put anything five like and everything's a question. And so for him to have 41, 24 rebounds, 3 blocks in like double overtime, the last thing I'm gonna say is this. There are only a few instances in basketball history where a superstar and an all-time great player made a statement in the playoffs and said, I'm here, I'm the best player in the league. LeBron, when he dropped 25 straight and 48 on the Pistons in, I can't remember what year that was, but that was the first time. That was the first,
2005,
yeah, something around there, because that was the Pistons in the early,
2007, I think maybe 2005, 6, 7, something like that.
yeah. It might not have been 2007 because 2007 he went to the finals. I don't think he went to the finals that year.
Detroit won, so it was 2005 or 6
Yeah.
because Detroit won that series. Yeah,
Yeah. And he hadn't won an MVP or been to the finals yet, and he did that, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, no, he's the best player." Magic when Kareem was out in Game 6 and scored 49 or however many points it was as the center. Jordan when he dropped 69, I believe it was, against the Celtics. So there are very few times where that's happened, and Wemby just basically said, "No, no, no, no. I'm the best player in the world. I'm gonna win MVP next year." It just reminded me of like the Charles Barkley, um, Michael Jordan situation in '93 where Charles Barkley won the MVP. And then MJ was like, all right, you can have the MVP. I'm gonna get the ring. I'm gonna beat you in the finals. Like I'm just straight up better than you. Like that's what it was. He saw Shea pick up the MVP and said, bet I'm gonna just drop 40 here in game 1. So we just watched NBA history greatness. It was beautiful, and we just watched the beginning of the next GOAT debate. That's what I think it is.
I
Um,
I'm gonna cut you off right.
go
Wait, no,
ahead.
I'm not gonna cut you off.
I'm
I was
done.
going through my texts, and I have a text for what's it called? May 23rd, 2023 that says Wemby might break the league. And I said Wemby might actually break the NBA. I want to meet him so bad. He's gonna be fucking disgusting. I did not think that he would break the league when I said that. I was obviously joking. But we knew he was this good of a prospect. He genuinely might break the NBA. He might. Like we were talking about the Thunder and talking about them. And look, we could get into a prediction after. I'm not gonna give up my Thunder one yet, but we're just like nobody's beating the Thunder. The Thunder are going to win the championship. Wemby at 22 might beat the Thunder. That's insane. That's actually insane. With him playing like this at 22, imagine once he gets 25 and his balls actually drop. Like, dude, he I Jesus.
No pause on that one.
Yeah,
No pause on that one.
once he becomes a man, dude, like he's still a youngin. And the Spurs are still a youngin. Wemby is on GOAT trajectory.
Yo.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even know what to say. That was
We
one
gotta
of the
do a
best.
montage of the craziest things Jake has said on this podcast.
Yeah, sure. Do it. I mean, like in terms of the NBA, Wemby is still very, very young.
Oh yeah. No, he hasn't even entered. He really hasn't even entered his prime yet. His
No,
prime.
yeah. And he's not gonna enter his prime for another 2 years at least, in my opinion, just because that's just what's typical in the NBA. The guy's 22. And if he leads the Spurs past the defending champions and wins the finals at 22, how are you going to pick against them any year? Like the Spurs are not going to get worse, even if they trade Darren Fox. And I've been on this trend for a while. They should trade Darren Fox. Dylan Harper should be their starting point guard next year.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah. Are the
He
Spurs
should.
going to get worse? Is Wembanyama going to get worse? No. The Spurs are going to be the favorite in the West next year too, regardless of what happens. And I do think that. And yeah, he's breaking the league. He's breaking the league. I mean, the first shot, that game went to double overtime, didn't it?
Yeah.
And 108, 105, 30 seconds left on the road at a place the Thunder don't lose playoff games. And you hit a 40-foot three. And the last person to do that was Steph Curry.
I'm about to say, you shot that motherfucker from where Steph shot that at.
Yeah,
It's so,
exactly.
but it's so crazy because we all remember where we were when that shot happened. I remember
Yeah,
exactly where I was.
I
And
remember
so
exactly where I
I
was too.
remember exactly where I
that's
was.
why I say that shot that he hit, that's the shot. We're
Oh
all
yeah,
gonna remember that again. Where it's
you gonna
like,
remember where you were for that one for sure.
and
Yeah,
you gotta think
100%.
about it. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter known to man. He's the greatest shooter God has ever created. He's 6'3". Wemby is 7'5", doing what Steph Curry did in the playoffs, in the Western Conference Finals.
That was the point where I was going was you have a seven, what is he, 7'5",
Something like
seven
that.
four?
yeah,
You have a
He
wingspan.
seven
might still be
footer.
growing at this point.
You have a 7 footer who's well above 7 foot, hitting 3 point shots in the clutch from where Stephen Curry was hitting them at will, at his will. That wasn't no desperation heave. That wasn't no shot clock expiring. No, there wasn't no time is running out. I gotta get this ball up. No, 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 no. That was I'm shooting this motherfucker and it's going in. And we're gonna take this motherfucker to another overtime.
You know what's
That's what
crazy? You know what's crazy about that shot? When Steph shot that shot back in 2016, I remember I was laying on I was 14 at the time. I was watching the game with my mom, right? And when Steph came up the court, as soon as he passed half, I said, "Oh, he's gonna shoot a half court shot." And he did. The same thing happened with Wemby. When he passed it up, and then I can't remember if it was Harper or whoever it was, looked back to give the ball to him, and I saw Wemby come back in the frame. I said, "Oh, he's gonna fire it. He's gonna catch and shoot it." And as soon as he caught it and he went like this, I said, "Oh, that's cash." I said, "That's money. There's no way he misses that." That's how much confidence we have in him. That I can watch a 7 footer who is has more God-given skill and talent and ability than Kevin Durant to pull up from the logo and cash it. And I know I was like, oh, if in that moment you paused it and said put $100 on it, I would have put 200 on it that he made it. I
And
would have put 300.
two things on this. Like one, the league knew this was gonna happen. Remember when they asked Ant at All-Star Weekend and they're just like, "Do you want to be the face of the league once LeBron retires?" And he goes, "Man, they got Wembanyama." Like they knew. And two, I mean, I was gonna say, what's there not to like about Wemby? And I genuinely do believe that he cares so much. The Chet Holmgren stuff is awesome. Though we sleep in July thing he said, him like taking a like actually showing emotion in a league that I don't want to say is losing. Like it's intrigued because that's not true, but like the NBA has its moments where its product isn't as great. For him to be this good, this fast, and to be an alien, like yeah, Jesus. Like I don't know. He's the face of the league. Like I'd argue he's the face of the league right now. I really would. Like I guess it's LeBron until he retires, and that's a whole nother conversation for if and when LeBron retires. Is Wemby not the best player in the NBA? I heard you say it on your TikTok, so I know what you're gonna say, Toussaint. Like Wemby's the best player in the league. He
Yeah, I
very
mean, you can't argue with that. I mean,
if
you,
they beat the Thunder, he's the best player in the league, and there's no argument. None.
there's no debate about it. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know. I can't remember exactly where I was when I think 2018 was the first time I really thought LeBron was the greatest player I'd ever seen. 2016 was like he's right there. 2018 to me, what he did in terms of getting all the way to the finals with nobody, because I've never seen somebody by himself get his team to the finals. I'm getting that same euphoric feeling from watching Wemby hoop. And it's just like there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you put him on the three-point line, Chet can't guard him on the three-point line because he's gonna go right by Chet. You put Alex Caruso on him in the paint, Alex Caruso just throw it up to him. I mean, and then the fact that he has the beef with Chet is just cherry on top to everything. And he just owns Chet in every single part. And so I fully expect him to come out tonight and really lay belt again. And we'll talk about I'll ask this question, how we feel about Shea. I think he'll come out tonight and act accordingly and drop his 30 to 40, whatever, 35, something like that. And they still might not win. You gotta think about that. I understand that they were right there. It was double overtime, but you also have to think they didn't have De'Aaron Fox. They didn't play their best game. I mean, Castle had 11 turnovers. Realistically, they were more like 7, 8 turnovers, but um, I mean, both could be said for both parties that they both didn't
I
play the
was
perfect game and that
I
they could
was
win.
I was about to add that I think I understand where you're going with that, but on the other side though, OKC absolutely did not play their best game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's what stuck out the I mean, obviously besides of what the hell Victor Wembanyama did, I think that is what stuck out the most in game one is their best player didn't play their best game. Their second best player didn't play their best game. Their third option didn't play his best, probably played his worst game of his entire career.
Yeah.
And you had Alex Caruso scoring 30. I mean, their shooter didn't play his best game. Like, not, I mean, that whole starting lineup for Oklahoma City really didn't play their best game. AJ Mitchell did nothing. Like, they did not play a good game. I mean, they didn't play a good game of basketball until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, to be quite honest with you. And I think that's what stuck out the most for them. And I think that's what scares me the most for San Antonio is I mean, they looked like a whole completely different basketball team through those first 3 quarters.
But I will
So,
say a lot of it to me also is like when you say they didn't play their best game, I think part of it is because San Antonio was just an elite defensive team, and even
and I
without
and I
Wemby,
and I and I give and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I give full credit to San Antonio for the defensive masterclass that they put on during that game. I think they did an absolute great job for sure. Um, at the end of the day, though, I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to do that against Shea for 7 games.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stop Shea the way that you did for that for 7 games. You're not gonna do it. Shea is gonna get his. He did. He ended up getting his. I mean the like I said, the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter in overtime, Shea was hooping. He it was like he finally realized, wait, I'm the back-to-back MVP.
yeah, but things,
I'm the guy. I am the guy. Like
yeah, but
so
but a lot of those guys, I mean, Caruso's gonna come back down to earth, and I guess that'll even out because Shea will come back up. But the reality is also, I mean, AJ Mitchell is a good player, but you're telling me if Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle is guarding AJ Mitchell, like AJ Mitchell is not gonna like I understand that he had a really great series against the Lakers. Everyone was like AJ Mitchell, oh my goodness. We're talking about some real dogs on San. That's what I have. That's my whole thing. And even with Wemby, like if Wemby sits and they have Luke Cornett on there, they're still a really good defensive team. Now it evens up tremendously when you put Luke Cornett out there. But also you gotta think about it. OKC can't play Isaiah Hartenstein barely played in the game because you can't have a non-shooting big who clogs the lane when Wemby is there. It's impossible. So you're not going to
Especially
be able
because
to,
he's not 7 feet. Like Chet's 7 feet at least, so he could go get a ball. Like Isaiah
yeah.
Harden.
And that's the thing that scares me. Isaiah Hartenstein is almost ineffective in this series to some degree, and Chet gets owned by Wemby. So if Chet, even if Chet has like 12 points, it still doesn't matter. Like Chet has to have a really effective, good efficiency shooting game to really do damage to the Spurs. And that's why I think the Spurs are just so much like they're constructed a little bit better. I like how OKC is, but OKC has a bunch of guys that play above their skis and play well, and the chemistry is good, and they have a good superstar, and they have good guys around him. But you're looking at San Antonio. Dylan Harper's a top draft pick. Castle, Fox, obviously Wemby. You got guys coming off the Harrison Barnes has won a championship and he's a veteran. You got guys coming off the bench who are like blue strip guys, like blue chip guys.
Yeah.
And so I think that matters in this series when you're going up against youth versus youth. And the difference is guys who are naturally God-given talent and guys who worked hard. The difference is sometimes the talent with the hard work is gonna trump the just hard work. So I like AJ Mitchell. I don't see him having a profound impact like he did in the Lakers series as he did in this series. And that's what scares me about them. Now Hardenstein's not gonna play a lot of minutes. Chet's gotta step up. And if Chet gets owned, if Wemby really says Chet, Chet, and he owns Chet again. Like obviously, I think Chet will score more than 8 points, but if Wemby laughs in his face and then just, you know what I mean, he's not gonna be. It's not gonna work. So
I
I
overreact to something,
go
or
ahead.
finish the thing, and then I'm gonna overreact to
I was just
something.
gonna say I alluded to it, but I had already picked the Spurs before the playoffs even started. I said the Spurs because I can't unsee what I'm seeing.
Yeah. My overreaction, and I don't even know how much of an overreaction this is, honestly. Outside of game 7 of the NBA Finals last year, this is the biggest game of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren's life up to this point. I fully believe that if they lose tonight, I mean, look, they're the Oklahoma City Thunder. They could come back. But if you go down 2-0 to the Spurs and you do not play well tonight, and you're Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a back-to-back MVP, Finals MVP, and you have all these awards, and if you're Chet Holmgren, who was the number 2 pick, right? He was 2,
Yeah.
and you get dogged by Wemby again, what's going to change in San Antonio? So much for you being the face of the league, so much for you guys being the dynasty. Move over, it's San Antonio. And Shai did not have a good playoff series against the Lakers. He didn't play too well against the Spurs in round 1. And the Spurs also, Wemby said it, if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder and you're that well coached of a team and you have all this team camaraderie that made you so special, and you let Wemby after what's it called? Shai wins MVP goes, we dominated them in the regular season, and then they dominate you in the playoffs, and they beat you in the playoffs. You're not coming back from that. And yeah, go look against the media, Shai, if it doesn't work. So for that reason, I think this is the biggest game of their careers tonight. And then like game 7, game 6, whatever the elimination game, that'll be it too. But if they go down 2-0 to the Spurs and that series goes back to San Antonio, I mean, yeah, they're in trouble because you talk about Dylan and Stephon Castle, either one of them is going to go off on any given night. And they work so freaking hard. That's what makes them so good because those guys are number 1 options on 15 other teams right now. Or number 2. Like, imagine if the Pistons had Stephon Castle or Dylan Harper. Yeah,
Ooh-wee.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like the last thing. And then I'll throw it back to you guys. Like, Dylan Harper shouldn't have been on the San Antonio Spurs. And if he went to one of those higher teams in the lottery, like the Nets or the Wizards or the Sixers, maybe not the Sixers because they have Maxey, but any of those teams, he's the number 1 option. He might have won Rookie of the Year. And Stephon Castle won Rookie of the Year. He'd be a number 1 option so many other places. It's scary. It's really scary. Like, and on all this, I'm forgetting about Devin Vassell, who might be their best shooter on any given night. And so, yeah, no, it's just like Shai and Chet, and I guess the entire Thunder team. You can't lose this series. It's too early for the Spurs to beat you in this series. It really is. You're in your prime, Thunder. The Spurs are not. The Spurs are in their first playoffs. They're in their first conference finals. You can't lose this. And if you do, like, it's just a really hard thing to come back from. And like, if you get dogged by San Antonio, do you go for Giannis? Like with Hardenstein's deal coming up, with Chet not playing well, like is that a conversation we have?
I
Like,
saw that. If they
yeah,
get Giannis, burn the whole NBA to the ground. I'm gonna let you
it,
know right now. If the OKC Thunder get Giannis Antetokounmpo, burn it all to the
and you
ground.
know what's the scary thing? Even with Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't know if they could beat Wemby if Wemby plays like this.
I think that's overreaction. That's crazy. I
That
think they
might
Probably,
be a
can.
little overreact.
it
I
probably is an
think. I
Because
think
overreaction.
if
they
you're
can.
if,
I think
if there's one human
they
being
can
that
beat
could
him
guard
while
him,
they can beat him while he's playing like this.
I'm sure they can. I'm sure they can. I'm
Without Giannis, they
I,
absolutely can. I think we are overreacting here about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we
yeah.
are forgetting
No,
that this is the reigning defending NBA champions who coasted their way to an NBA championship last year. Like
yeah.
they, we're overreacting a little bit
I
but
about
think
you're
the
talking
Thunder.
about a 7'5" freak of nature
Yeah,
that
the
can do
Thunder.
anything he wants at any given time.
and
I
they
still
took them
think
to
the
double
Thunder are going to
overtime.
win this
They
series.
took them to
It's true.
double
It's true, but guess what? Guess what?
double
The
overtime.
Thunder still can't do nothing. Shea
He had he had
Gilgeous-Alexander.
to he had to hit a Steph Curry shot for them to win the game.
That may
For
be
them
the case.
to keep playing to even win the game. He had
And
to hit
when
a
and
Stephen
guess what?
Curry shot.
And you know what great players do? They do it 3 more times to win the series. And I
And
have full belief that Wemby
and
will do it 3 more times
I
to win the
absolutely believe
series.
that, and I absolutely believe that. And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a great fucking player too, and he's gonna get his. So that's
Yeah,
all
He's
I'm
no,
saying.
and
no, no. Here's the thing:
All
he'll
that
get
I'm saying.
his. Will his
I
teammates get
think we're
theirs?
forgetting. I think we're forgetting who's on the other side of this of the
No,
San
no, no. Wait,
Antonio,
wait, 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 wait,
I'm,
wait, wait,
I'm
wait,
completely overreacting.
who was
wait, wait,
absolutely battle
wait, wait, wait,
tested.
wait, 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 wait. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander will act accordingly and score his 30 and get his. But will Chet get his? Will AJ Mitchell get his? Hartenstein isn't barely playing. And then who else? Because you think Hassan Wallace is getting his? If
Jalen
Stephon
Williams.
if Stephon Castle guards Kassan Wallace ain't scoring as many points as he usually does. That's what my problem is. Is the fact that Shea, I have no doubt about. I think he'll get his. But I'm looking at Wemby owning Chet. If Chet doesn't act accordingly, because we've seen guys just absolutely shut down through the series. And just because the Thunder are this
Yeah,
good doesn't, because you got to think about it, the Spurs have an answer for everything OKC throws at them. It's not vice versa though. It's not vice versa.
Yeah, no, I still think the Thunder are gonna win the series. Like, if we're doing predictions, I'm over. Look, I'm totally overreacting with the on it. I'm
This
totally
is
over.
the beginning of the next GOAT debate, and Wembanyama is winning his ring this year.
I'm
Very
playing
much.
both sides here because I fully agree with you, except for that he's winning this year. I do think it's the start of the GOAT debate. I think when it's all said and done, I think Wemby is already the most talented basketball player we've ever seen. Like, he's not the GOAT yet, obviously, but he could be on that trajectory. I still think the Thunder win the series. Um, Yeah, if the Spurs are scratching the surface right now and they win the finals when Wemby's 22, it's the same thing. Even like, God, with Giannis, the Thunder will obviously beat him. I still think the Thunder beat him now. The Spurs, like Wemby's not fucking around. The Spurs aren't fucking around. Castle's gonna get better. Harper's gonna get better. They're gonna get someone else too, probably. And so, like, yeah, I guess like the message I'm trying to say is like, good luck if you're any other team in the West. Like, get Luka some help. Like, that's get Luka Doncic some help or get Jokic some help. I don't know who that is, and I don't know if it's enough, but like, it's the Thunder and Spurs. The Thunder and Spurs are the new Cavs and Warriors. Like, they are. At least I think so.
Yeah, no, it's the new best rivalry in basketball for sure. But I mean I get it. I get that he can obviously lose. Wemby can obviously lose this series, and I think it'll be close. I think he'll go to 6 games. I'm not. I mean, it's not like I think it's gonna be a sweep. I don't think it's gonna be like 4 games. Wemby drops 40 every single game. I think the Thunder will get theirs, but I really truly believe when it comes down to the very, 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 very end of games, he's gonna kick up another notch that we've never seen before. Because my problem with Wemby was the fact that he he played was it how many minutes did he play in the regular season? I can't remember how many minutes he played in the regular season, but it was a vast difference from what he plays in the postseason. And was he going to get tired? He was gassed at the end of that regulation game, but then he kicked another notch, and then in overtime, it was just like, give me the ball. I'm 7'5". I'm in the paint. You got Alex Caruso guarding me. Give me the ball. So, I mean, if Chet takes it to heart and he's like, let me guard Wemby, I got it. Maybe. But again, I I've never seen something like this before, and I truly think he really, really, really hates the Thunder. Like, I think Wemby's like, this is the only team standing in my way right now.
he hates Chet.
Yeah, he hates Chet, and I think by connection, he's like the Thunder Shea, because I know he was sitting on the bench looking at Shea like, you want to hold up the trophy, okay, and he didn't even get second in MVP, so he's like, you're ahead of me. I'm winning that trophy next year, and I just won Defensive Player of the Year. I'm gonna win this ring, so. I alluded to before, San Antonio, I think it just rests on if Wemby for the next 4 games just tweaks out and just absolutely goes nuclear. But again, I think there are going to be more times in the series where we see things from, you know, Wemby that we've never seen before, and it's going to amaze people.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
we can
right.
predict.
You want to do
Oh, was that what
predictions?
you're gonna say?
No, I was going to say tweaker of the week, but we can do predictions. I forgot that we're not on the same page here. So let's
Hey,
give our predictions.
just do a quick
Yeah,
one.
very quick. I'll
Predictions
go
on
first.
both series.
Knicks in 5, Thunder in 7. I was gonna say Thunder in 6, and that was my original prediction. But after what I saw, again, I'm not trying to overreact to one game. I should have just known that the Spurs and Wembanyama. There are some nights where they just are the best team in the league. Yeah, I still think the Thunder will beat them in game seven. I think, like Blake said, they're the reigning NBA champions. They won two game sevens last year, and the Spurs obviously haven't had to play a game seven yet. So just give me the Thunder there. And I think the Knicks, like a belt ass bang, 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 Knicks in the finals. So yeah, that's it from me.
Fuck it. I'm gonna go New York sweep 4-0. I'm gonna go Thunder in seven as well. I think that game's going to, I think after that game one, it's going to seven.
Okay, okay. We got a couple of Thunder believers with 7. I'm
Just don't pick
going.
Cleveland. Just don't pick Cleveland
No,
head to
no,
head.
no, no. We're going Knicks in 5. It's
All right,
Knicks in
cool,
5.
cool.
No, Knicks in 5. It's the other one. It's the other one that I'm gonna have to go with. I'm going Spurs in 6. I think Wemby goes nuclear. I think deep down in his heart he hates the Thunder. I think he looks at them like y'all are just first of all, y'all got Chet, and then that's the guy that took the MVP from me, and I despise y'all. I hate the color, I hate the look. I'm gonna just run right through you and win a title this year. And I really think he's gonna make us really think who is the second greatest basketball player of all time? Not the first, the second. I really think this is the beginning of the next GOAT debate. So I'm going with Wemby. Give me my freaking nature, French freaking nature. All right,
Mhm.
time for the best segment in all of sports, podcasts, and TV and whatever entertainment. Tweaker of the week. Does anybody want to start, or do you want me to start? Because I have one. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
Will Wade. Like, all right, look, I'm not gonna go on this entire rant. He sucks, and like he's just getting rid of all the integrity in college sports, and he's not doing it alone, but he's doing it the loudest. And the RJ Lewis thing, look, I don't think RJ Lewis is going to be cleared to play college basketball, but a bunch of these international guys are. And it's just sad. It's just sad what college sports has become. I mean, last week we didn't even say it. Like, screw the NCAA tournament committee for making it 76 teams too.
Yeah, that was
Like,
gross.
that's another thing. Like, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, Will Wade, like, you one, you're a snake. Two, you're a lying snake. And three, you're a snake that now tries to crawl outside the cage. And four, you're a fat snake because you're fat. So, with that being said, you're absolutely the tweaker of the week. Absolutely. And the crazy thing is, you might not even be the biggest tweaker in Baton Rouge because Lane Kiffin's up there too. But I like
That's
Lane.
that school is. What is wrong with that
Don't
school?
get me started with Kim Mulkey too.
I'm about to say, Kim Mulkey's got her own
The
problems.
baseball coach too. Like, I don't know what they got down there in the water in Louisiana.
They're
But
smoking some strong stuff down there.
yeah.
The
But
AD? Did they get a new AD?
yes, they got a new AD, and that's why Will Wade went there. Because the AD hired someone else,
It
and
was the governor. It was the fat governor.
it's yeah, it's
The
just
new
absolutely.
governor.
And Will Wade is absolutely the tweaker of the week for me. And he's just going to make it worse. It keeps getting worse and worse. Like, LSU is going to sign someone else. They don't have a full roster yet. And once RJ Lewis doesn't or finds out he can't play college basketball because he played NBA minutes, you're going to have an empty roster spot. And where's he going to go? Overseas to some pro who's 25. That sucks. That sucks. I know people were giving Michigan crap because they were old or something. At least they were still in college. Like, I don't know if Yaxel ever went to class. Based on his live streams, I don't know. But that's a
No, he
whole
didn't go
nother.
to class. His live streams.
Yeah, that's
He didn't go to
that's a whole
class.
that's a whole nother story. Like, by the way, love Yaxel's live streams. They are hilarious. Um,
Yaxel never stepped foot onto a single Ann Arbor campus.
Yeah, no shot. But Will Wade, you're the tweaker. And look, when maybe Axel will be your 2027 commit at this point after he plays 10 minutes for the Warriors or something.
Yeah, that's so funny because I talked to RJ Lewis when he was at the combine, and I asked him, I was like, why not just like transfer? He's like, where is there to transfer to? Well, I guess he found his place. I guess he found his team to transfer to.
Dude, imagine being Rick Pitino. Like, RJ Lewis, like, it's not anymore because it's Ejiofor and it might have been Ejiofor last year. RJ Lewis won Big East Player of the Year. He was your first Big East Player of the Year in St. John's. He went to the NBA. He transferred after having that dud against Arkansas. And now he's going to play for Will Wade and LSU, who might not even make the tournament. Like, Rick
No
Pitino,
shot they make the tournament. No
no shot
shot
to
with
make
that
the tournament.
roster.
Yeah, and Rick Pitino should just laugh. He's just like, yeah, you should have taken my advice or something, because I'm sure Rick Pitino would have had him back too. Like
He
that's
probably would have. He probably would have told him to hop in the portal. No one real
Yeah,
opportunity. He
exactly.
probably would have told him hop the portal.
Yeah, and
I
at that point, hop in the portal and make 3 million instead of going to the NBA and going undrafted.
He should have hopped in the portal. It was just like there was no path for him. Like he couldn't have transferred to a good team that was going to get him back to the tournament. So he just was like, why not? But I was about to tell him that I was like, just go to another team. Don't go into the draft. You're not going to get drafted. Um, yeah, that one was bad. Let me give mine. Mine is Adam Silver. There was an article in the Atlantic about him as the commissioner, and it pretty much proved all my theory. I don't hate Adam Silver, but I think I don't think he's a good commissioner. I think out of all the commissioners, he's probably the worst because he misses the main point on things. Like he chooses to do things that are not in the best interest of the true basketball fan. He does it in the best interest to grab money and to try and grab people's and viewers' attention that don't watch basketball. Okay. They said he's doubled the NBA's money since he got there. And I said at first I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, that's a good commissioner. And then I thought, it the NBA didn't start 5 years ago. It's not some broke association that needs as much money as possible. I watched the Detroit Pistons get blown out in a game 7 on my computer on streameast.com because I refused to pay Amazon Prime 10.99 a month to watch playoff basketball. You know how much of a money grabber you got to be to put a game 7 on a streaming service instead of cable? I like that has got to be one of the worst things I've ever seen. You're putting an NBA Game 7 playoff game on a streaming service. Stop putting things on Amazon Prime. Stop putting things on Peacock. Put it on NBC, ABC, ESPN. The real true basketball fan is going to spend more money on the sport than a random person who just figured out that LeBron James is on the Lakers. All right? You gotta stop catering to people that don't watch the sport. Everything is a money grab for Adam Silver. You know what else he said? He said the flopping. He addressed the flopping. He said, I don't like it, but it is what it is. And you know why he said it? Because it creates discourse. Because people go on TikTok like me and they talk about how stupid it is. And people go online and TV and call it out. And then it creates controversy, which creates publicity, which creates money. So everything is a money grab to him. Everything is about money for him as the commissioner, which really pisses me off. Because the game of basketball is not about making as much money as possible. That's not what you should be concerned with. That's not what David Stern was concerned about. David Stern was concerned about the integrity of the sport. He was concerned about how it was structured. He was concerned about what it was. And so for him to go out and just be concerned about, I got to grow the game, I got to make as much money as possible, it's just disrespectful to the fans, to the true fans that watch the sport. And I feel like sometimes the choices he makes, it's like a slap in the face to me as a fan. And I really don't like it. And so I really have a problem with him. And he said he's been trying to figure out how he's trying to be as a commissioner. He's not trying to be a dictator like Stern. But I'm like, sometimes you got to be a dictator. Sometimes you got to just come down on something and say, we're going to cut this out because it's not good.
No.
Flopping and
Oh,
f- flopping and foul baiting is a bad television product, and you're only allowing it because it's making you more money. That's disgusting. Stop doing that. Part two, second trigger of the week is James Harden for all the flopping bullshit and the turnovers. James Harden, you are one of the worst playoff performers I've ever seen. You can drop 40 on any given day, but when it calls for you to actually hit the shot, you turn the ball over like I've never seen before. You chuck up bullshit like I've never seen before. If playoff version of James Harden walked in the gym, I would not pick him up on my team. I would
fair.
not. You're not coming on my team to chuck up a random 3-pointer, buddy.
That's fair.
I don't blame you.
Um, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Stephen A. Stephen A.
Oh boy.
and Jaylen Brown have a little they
Love
have,
triangle.
they have a little thing going on.
Well, he beats
And
with everybody.
and obviously Stephen A, Jaylen Brown, they don't like each other. Um, there's been a lot of words exchanged between those two. Um, Although I do think Jaylen Brown on his end, kind of criticizing Stephen A for um, the things that he does as a journalist, and I guess now that you want to call it TV personality that he has kind of turned himself into. Um, Jaylen Brown is streaming in his free time. Now I understand, go get that bag. By all means, 100%. I am 100% with go get
He
your
don't need
bag.
more money.
But at the end of the day, though, you can't criticize Stephen A for talking when in your free time you go on Twitch and you start talking. So that's the issue I have with Jaylen Brown. Now, Stephen A's got to stop acting like my boss. Plain and simple. He's got to stop acting like a mob boss. You got to stop telling these athletes and these guys, don't say this or else I'm gonna do this, or I got this information, or this, that, and the third. I know things. I know people. Stuff like that. Stop it. Stop it. Please stop it. I'm not even gonna lie. 95% of these athletes got people behind them where they grew up wherever or wherever the case may be, and they got guys behind them too, and they know people, people who will do a lot of things because they don't got much to lose. So that's first off. But second off, you're making journalists look bad, and you're making journalism look bad when you're sitting up there on TV telling people, "I got this information about you that I could share if you keep talking." Stop blackmailing. If that is as a journalist, as a reporter, that is your job. You have the information. If it is confirmed and the source that you have multiple sources, you trust that source, you trust the sources that you have, and they are all saying the same thing, you report it. Report it. If you have it, report it. Don't sit there and tell him, "Oh, I got this. I got this. I can really tell you how Jason Tatum feels about you. I can really tell you how the organization feels about you." No, report it. Tell people. Do it. Stop acting like a mob boss in that you got all of this stuff and you got all of these people that are gonna do things for you and things like that. I'm not doubting the fact that Steve A's got people that'll do things for him. I don't doubt that at all. But stop acting like you are Tony Soprano and that you are gonna do this, that, and the third if people keep talking. Stop it. Please stop it. That's the only issue I got with it. It's you're embarrassing yourself at the end of the day. You really are. Like what athlete is seriously getting intimidated because Stephen A is telling them stop talking or else I'm gonna do this. I got people, blah blah blah. Like, come on, bro.
That's why he keep talking because he know nobody really afraid of him.
Like, come on. That's all I got. So that's it.
Got some good tweakers of the week. Those were a good bunch. Good bunch.
Those were good.
All right, that'll wrap up episode number 54.
Yes, sir.
Talking about the conference finals and a little bit of the semis. Throw it over to Blake.
Go ahead, run up the socials. We got new reels. We got new TikToks out there. Go run them up. Go repost them. Go see Jake's thoughts on Philly fans.
I'll tell you them straight to your face.
But yeah, no,
you gonna catch an elbow like Izzy. Better relax.
Good.
Bro, yeah, no, run it up. Like, comment, subscribe. This week, comment your NBA champion, I guess, at this point. Who NBA champion and who the hell is gonna win the Thunder versus Spurs series?
Wemby.
So go ahead, do that as always. Share it out to everybody, your mom, grandma, whoever. Keep showing love. That's all we got. Peace. Stay fly.